There's no question that coronavirus is real and making hundreds of thousands of people sick, but it's also been politicized, with the conservative press blaming liberals and the media for overreacting, and the liberal commentators blaming President Trump for lack of action. The question being, is there a right and a wrong side? If you are a regular Fox News and Fox Business viewer, you got a heavy dose of this kind of thinking.
Many in the liberal media using, and I mean using, coronavirus in an attempt to demonize and destroy the president.
A political weapon, all to bludgeon President Trump yet again.
And it's true that some, like CNN's Don Lemon, spewed out so much criticism over the president's address to the nation, he made guest John Kasich justifiably frustrated.
So I don't understand why he would even come out and do it at all if he is going to confuse the American people even more. You don't understand that? You're a governor. I'm surprised that you don't understand that.
Look, I'm just trying to tell you that I thought his tone tonight was good.
But while the president's performance was at least a legitimate issue of debate, over on Fox it got downright loopy. Like Sean Hannity suggesting that Joe Biden's son Hunter was somehow responsible for the spread of coronavirus because he allegedly scored a deal with Chinese banks.
10 days after zero experience Hunter is on Air Force Two, $1.5 billion Bank of China. How does that happen, Senator?
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton was happy to play along.
It's important that if the Democrats nominate Joe Biden as their presidential candidate, we examine all those ties to China.
The idea that the media has something to gain by heightening fear of the virus has people listening.
The ongoing effort to create a panic, and let's make no mistake here that that's exactly what is happening here.
Democrats and their media cronies have decided to weaponize fear and also weaponize suffering to improve their chances against Trump in November.
Then again, fair and balanced can come from the most unusual places.
People you trust, people you probably voted for, have spent weeks minimizing what is clearly a very serious problem. It's definitely not just the flu.
And that's a fact. So Tucker Carlson, for the last couple of months, really has sort of separated himself from the mothership there by being more critical, almost taking over the role that Shep Smith, just sort of being more direct and trying to be a little bit more balanced about it. As for some of the others, I really wonder, Rush Limbaugh aside, who just doesn't seem to have the intellectual capacity, but if Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity really believe the kind of conspiracy stuff that they spew forth, I have a hard time believing that isn't just part of the shtick, even though it's dangerous.
They don't care. They're monetizing fear and...
That's what they're accusing everybody else of doing.
Oh, really? Oh, what a shocker. They're hypocrites, huh? I mean, look, at the exploitation of a crisis for political means is as American as apple pie and baseball, a sport formerly played in the spring and summer, but no longer. Google Scott Brown, Jeanne Shaheen, New Hampshire Senate race from a few years back, and you'll find that Brown went after her then President Obama for somehow opening the floodgates to Ebola to come into the country. President Trump was seen fairly recently trying to whip up unjustified fears about caravans of bloodthirsty migrants coming over the border in the run-up to the election. So this is nothing new. It's grotesque. It's in bad taste. All I know is from my own experience, serious journalists think hard every day about how not to get involved in that by the language they use and the way they do their jobs.
I think the interesting thing right now is how is the Sean Hannitys, Laura Ingrahams of the world, how are they going to report this story now? It seems this afternoon that the president has started to take this seriously, so they can no longer be dismissive in their tone. So how are they going to report it now? And I wonder, Tucker Carlson, we showed the clip of him. He's a longtime Trump ally. Trump follows him on Twitter. Trump supposedly speaks to him on a regular basis the same way he does Sean Hannity. Who knows if Tucker Carlson didn't have a little bit of influence on the president? We never know.
Well, he might have. Let me say something about Tucker Carlson, though.
good for him for pushing back against this ridiculous notion that COVID-19 isn't serious. But this plays right into his wheelhouse, which is fear of foreigners. And he's gone out of his way to keep calling this the Chinese virus, the Wuhan virus. I mean, so let's not give him too many kudos here.
I'm not lionizing him.
No, absolutely not. I mean, once again, Fox News is positioning itself as a threat to the public. And Margaret Sullivan had a very good column in the Washington Post a few days ago saying, why doesn't Rupert Murdoch do something about this? I mean, this is really important, Murdoch being the owner of Fox News. I can think of millions of reasons, Dan.
Yeah,
well, I understand, but I mean, this is serious business.
It's beyond serious business. This is a life and death situation. And what makes it equally disgusting is that the audience for Fox skews older. And these are the primary demographic, the people in the primary demographic group most at risk. And we've wasted all this time with them making up lies, and these people can't protect themselves. It's bad enough that the president, at the press conference saying it's a national emergency, is shaking hands with the head of the Centers for Disease Control when that's the number one thing that we can do. I mean, but this is crazy. It's unconscionable. I mean, we can say all of that. And there are many ways if you want to dump on Democrats. Why use somebody's life to do it? I guess that's what I don't understand.
I just want to say on the other side, too, that, I mean, Don Lemon did not appreciate the president's speech the other night, but he was giving no quarter. He does no favors for the other side of the argument by behaving that way. It's the same almost, a different, sort of slightly different message, but the same overall result.
For the millionth time, with a few exceptions, the nighttime talk show hosts on the cable nets are not performing journalism.
We know that, but they do have connections to people in their life, and they have to take some responsibility.
It's embarrassing.
You're telling people to not do what they're supposed to do and putting them in danger.
Yeah. It is embarrassing, and the one thing that we ought to acknowledge is that as badly as President Trump has handled this, there really isn't much evidence that it would be much better if he had handled it better. I mean, we'd like some leadership. We'd like some sense that we're all together, but we would still be pretty much where we're at.
And we don't know. He hasn't taken a test. He's been exposed. We don't even know what's happening.
I know. I think it mattered that George W. Bush, after 9/11, came out and said, don't go after your Muslim neighbors.
Yes,
so the presidential leadership does matter.
It does. There is a profound lack of moral leadership, I think, right now. And into that abyss, that polarization we're having, falls the media right now, and it's reflective of what's going on.